It's a legendary orchestra. It's been led by giants: Toscanini, Mahler, Bernstein. Tough men at a tough podium. And now, Kurt Masur. Kurt Masur had spent most of his life behind the Iron Curtain. More than 20 years conducting Leipzig's Gewandhaus Orchestra. By 1989, he was 62 years old and thinking of retiring.
Sometimes it's fate, of course.
Fate meant the Berlin Wall came down just as the New York Philharmonic was shopping for a conductor.
All those years, why did you choose to stay in East Germany? It would have been very easy for you to leave.
That's true. I stood with my orchestra, an orchestra which is more than 250 years old.
The Gewandhaus Orchestra is both the heart and the soul of Leipzig. And as its conductor, Masur was practically a saint.
I was educated there. Goethe has studied there, and Brahms lived there, and Schumann has lived there. And so Bach, not to forget, Wagner was born there. So you find in every footstep, you find the musical history of the world there.
In the last days of East Germany, it was Leipzig that became the center of the movement for reunification of the two Germanys. It was Leipzig where the biggest demonstrations took place. Masur was caught between culture and chaos.
The city of Leipzig was surrounded by a lot of soldiers. We had a concert in the evening. I got a message that this evening the demonstration should be beaten down.
Masur used his clout on party leaders who let him broadcast a citywide message.
Ihre ganze Kraft und Autorität dafür einzusetzen.
Please make this demonstration a peaceful one. Please, no violence. And this message went around in all the street loudspeakers and through the radio station. And this, I would call, was a miracle of Leipzig. That even the police didn't use violence. We could start our concert at 8 o'clock.
But it is remarkable that an artist, a conductor, can have that kind of effect beyond the world of culture and music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even people who never went to concert, they knew what means Gewandhaus Orchestra. And they were proud of it, and they trusted us.
As a conductor, Masur is most recognizable by the absence of a baton. It is not an artistic affectation, but the legacy of an auto accident in 1972 and a badly injured hand. Masur was driving when he lost control of the car. 3 people died, including his wife.
You stopped working, you stopped conducting. What was the effect of that trauma at the time?
You feel guilty that it happened. I was not drunk, I didn't drive too fast. You have to try to live again. There came a delegation to me and said, Mr. Masur, you have to start to conduct again. We felt exactly, only if I start to make music again, and I will come up again.
Did it show in your music, do you think?
You don't forget. You never forget. You can live. You have to start to live with that, but you never forget.
When he agreed to come to New York, he insisted he must keep Leipzig. Now he shuttles between 2 very different cities, 2 very different orchestras. In New York, critics wondered if a top banana in East Germany was up to taming the Big Apple and its rambunctious orchestra.
I believe the reputation of New York Philharmonic is still so bad that people think it's a difficult orchestra. It's not at all. You just needed the right man at the podium. This orchestra was somehow frustrated. They didn't feel free. And I thought this would be interesting if I could catch that at the end of my life.
This challenge.
Yes.
When you first came to New York, one of the musicians said you came with both barrels loaded. True?
Not true. I felt that I took the risk of my life, at least. Because there I was successful, I was accepted.
You were sending out a message that I am going to whip this orchestra into shape, correct?
Absolutely.
No, it's because of us. John, tell me the truth. It's because of our rules.
Dealing with these musicians and their strict union rules was a new experience for him.
Our rules.
So was dealing with 107 egos.
The main problem is there is a conductor, and each of those musicians have to play under the baton of the conductor, and they mainly would like to play a little bit another way.
All agree that Masur has made the orchestra shape up. He's been accused of being a touch too Teutonic, of not capturing the essential zaniness of New York City. But even the most surly critics agree that the music itself has seldom been better. He confesses he'd like to run the Philharmonic the way he runs Leipzig, as a benign dictator, with control of budgets, concert hall, everything. He may also miss the clout that he has with politicians in Germany. His popularity there, combined with a certain imposing weightiness, started a movement to draft him for president.
This was, look, if people are so full of doubts as they were just looking for somebody they could trust. And they thought, Masur we trust.
Under the communists, music was one of the few escapes the regime allowed.
You could buy scores for such a low price. You could buy instruments for a low price. In each village, you could hear chamber concerts.
In a way, you sound a little bit nostalgic. Huh?
I'm not nostalgic. The change and the unification was necessary. This is absolutely clear. But look, in the Stalinistic era in Russia, it was a blooming cultural life. At the moment, it's not. Freedom doesn't mean always that there's a stability in the culture.
Masur says that all our freedoms have produced a level of musical education that is dreadful.
Very dreadful. For me, it was astonishing how low the knowledge is, what music can do. Please, hire for each school 2 music teachers, and you can save the same number of policemen. Go to Japan. They are aware what culture can mean to a whole nation.
That's just what he and the New York Philharmonic did last summer. A triumphant tour of Japan and 3 other Asian countries. It was a homecoming too. 3 years after his wife died, Masur married Tomoko Sakurai, a Japanese singer and musician.
Thank you, Master.
Throughout Asia, Western classical music has taken on a popularity that rivals anything in pop culture. Concerts sold out beyond the concert halls.
You shouldn't treat me like a rock star. I'm not.
You said when you first took over the orchestra here that you regarded one orchestra as a wife and one as a mistress.
Yeah.
Which is which?
Yeah, look, if you are married to 24 years to an orchestra who's a wife, that's absolutely clear. The mistress. I think I have two wives now.
You're 67 years old now. If you had to give up one of these cities, one of these orchestras, if you had to, which would you give up?
That's not a good question. I would give up both if I don't have the energy.
Orchestras and conductors have really only one purpose: to make beautiful music together. From the beginning, he says he knew that would happen with the Philharmonic. All it needed was a nudge.
One of the players came to me and said, "How is that possible? From one day to the other, I believe we have only been a sleeping beauty."
There's no doubt in his mind about just who is Prince Charming.